Dear brothers and sisters, it's wonderful to have all of you here. We need to focus on our spiritual growth, because no one else can do it for us. Not our spouses, not our children, not our parents, not our grandkids. And the key is to make sure that the spirit is nourished. And the nourishment comes when we meditate, when we connect with the divine light and sound within. And what is very interesting is when we look back at the history of the path, we find that the path has grown to many, many countries, to people of many, many faiths. And the clarity of how do we practice our spiritual growth sometimes needs a few questions based on our cultures. We want to put into play the best way we can. Otherwise, we live in an age where everyone's so educated, you shouldn't have any questions. Right? There's so many books out there, so many spiritual books, religious books, writings of the great saints and mystics. But how do we put into practice? And this is why sometimes we do have questions. And it's a good way of understanding things. Many times the question of one will answer many other questions someone else. So let's hear some of the questions for today.
How can we focus on our spiritual growth despite our environment?
The spiritual gains that we get should be irrespective of who we are around, because it's a question of us being focused on the Creator. So, it's all a question of how we focus our attention for our spiritual practices. If we look at other aspects of our life, we find that if something needs to be done, then we do it, irrespective of who's around us. When we meditate also, we need to be sure that we don't let any one person or two people or our environment affect us. As an example, let's say you were in the home, someone in the home is playing music out loud, someone else in the home are having a very loud conversation. And then you say, how am I going to meditate in this environment? Yeah. Now, if you say the environment is such, I can't meditate because there's so much noise and how can I focus? Then you never get there. But he says, okay, I can get noise cancelling headphones. I can put them on, I can use that. And then it becomes quiet for you, even though the environment is like that. And so it's the same thing, if there's some people who are bothering us in the family or otherwise, if there's distractions in our life, it depends on how much zeal and passion we have to go to our goal. And I would say that to say that the environment in my home is not good or something not good, it's like a cop-out, I think. When we look in this world, we all have been put under very different circumstances. Okay? Sant Rajinder Singh Maharaj, I'll give you an example. He would say, it just looks like that God put us in this ocean, and in this ocean He put us on a raft. Okay? Now, he's on the raft, we are lying down and they've tied us up. So we can't use our hands or our feet to make the raft go wherever we want to go. So we're stuck, there are ups and downs of life. And then God says, you need to find me. Okay? So when you look at your life, sometimes the difficulties of life do come in. Sometimes we have to be with people who are very difficult to deal with. Okay? Sometimes we get into a situation where someone in our family is always creating some ruckus. And so there are times where difficulties can come in other areas of our life. But if our intention is to fulfill the very purpose for which we are here, then we are focused on the goal. So the zeal and passion to be with God, the zeal and passion to fulfill our purpose is needed. So the environment, I think, should not affect us.
How does time spent in satsang help our spiritual growth?
The time spent in satsang is very, very important. Okay? Because the time spent in satsang focuses our attention in the right arena. And if the time spent in satsang is done properly, where our attention is not going to any other area, then that time is very fruitful to us, and the rewards are tremendous. Okay? So having said that, in the satsang and in some of the satsangs which are held all around the globe, there are periods in which certain meditative aspect is put into the satsang. Like either before the satsang we have a period of meditation, either during the satsang we have a period of meditation, sometimes after the satsang we have a period of meditation. So the time that we spend in those periods which are specifically for meditation are the ones that go for 2.5 hours. But the time otherwise spent in satsang has tremendous benefits, but it's not going to that 2.5 hours time. So we can say, I went to satsang for 4 hours, I'm done. Okay. As we are meditating in the satsang, that goes to the 2.5 hours. And that's also, if you start to get into the really depths of what are we talking about, that time goes to the 2.5, which we do correctly. Okay. But I'm not stressing that too much because very few of us can do it correctly anyway. So the time in which we have no thoughts, the time in which we are totally engrossed in the light and sound, is the real time that goes to 2.5 hours. But if we have thinkitation, if we are planning, if we're solving a project as we are meditating, then those times officially don't go, but sometimes we let it go. Otherwise, everyone would be in trouble.
How can we improve our meditations?
And it's all a question of practice. Meditation is a practice. And so the more we practice it, the better we get. As we get initiated, we're asked that as we start to meditate, that we should take the first 3 or 4 months and spend 15 to 20 minutes daily to just repeat the names, so that the names are repeated by us without having to give them any attention. Okay? The reason they ask us to do that is that we should be able to focus all our energies into seeing and not into repeating the names. And so I would say that we need to practice more and more on the repetition of the names. Because the more we practice the repetition of the names, the better we get at being able to meditate, and it becomes like a shield so that the thoughts are not impregnating us. So the key is to be able to practice those names more and more and more. And as our practice gets perfected, then we definitely will get to a state where we are able to block the thoughts. One of the things that, and the practical we can say is, let's say you go watch a movie, okay? In the old days, you go to the theaters. So you're going to the theater, then you're blocking that time. No one else, no thought, no nothing comes in because you're watching something in front and all of attention is there. And so you have to think of meditation as watching a movie of evolvement of the light and sound within. And so when you meditate, if you sit there with that intention, then no other things will bother you. And that'll come with practice and with time, and the more we practice the Simran, we definitely can get to those states.
How can we remain focused on our spiritual growth despite challenges in our work environments?
We all know, and it's unfortunate, but it happens with all of us, that many times at our places of work, we run into people who are very difficult to deal with. Okay? Most of the time it's our boss. We don't know why he or she got promoted, because they don't know anything anyway, right? And then it becomes difficult to be able to deal with those people. And then we have some people who are like, who will say something that really bothers us. Okay. So I think we have to think about meditation as a very sacred time for us. And if in that time, if we let mundane activities come in to bother us, then we're not getting the total benefit from a meditative practice. So the key is to realize that the meditative time is very sacred, that in that time we don't want anything else to come to bother us. Okay? And if we have to think about the person who's having difficulties with us, there are 2-3 ways of dealing with it, I think. Sometimes it might be okay, maybe good to go talk to them. Sometimes you can talk and they can understand your point of view. Sometimes they block you, okay? They're not open to any suggestions or any talk. But I think you can try that first. The second thing in this day and age you can do is, if you work for a big company, let's say, they all have these HR groups, and they have people who specialize, like psychologists or something, to help. Maybe one should go for help there or get help on the outside. There are a lot of people who have expertise in being able to deal with people. And the third thing that can happen is, if you have more than one person, let's say 5-6 people who are bothering you, they need to look at yourself and see, is something wrong with me? Am I behaving in a manner that this part of their life is coming out? If there's just one, I won't. But if there's a lot of other people in the same scenario who we think are creating trouble, then we need to look at ourselves. We think, this guy is bad because of this reason, this guy is bothering me because of that, this guy is bothering me because of that, or this young lady is bothering me because of that. Then we should think, hey, if so many people we think are not correct, then are we really correct? So I think if you can use one of those mechanisms to find out the difficulty and try to solve it on the outside, so that when you're meditating, that's a sacred time. We don't want any of this outside attention to be pulling us from our real attention, which should go on experience the life within.
How can we be of service to elderly friends and loved ones who are ailing?
We can definitely help elderly in the satsang or even out of the satsang. If it's our satsangi brother, sister, with time we all age, and as we age, this body is a machinery. Some parts start to fail, some parts don't work as well as they used to. So I would say, like, if we are trying to visit someone, let's say they have a loss of hearing, okay? And then or they have a loss of sight, or they have loss of movement, like you said, one of the first things is to make sure that we understand the whole situation, or we get guidance from the people who are taking care of them, so that we're not doing anything to make their life more difficult. Okay? But let's say someone is having a difficult time hearing. Okay? Then when we go there, then we can maybe show them something, we can draw something, so that something which is spiritual can give them more confidence, more stability, more hope. Because I think one of the things that is needed when you get old is hope. many times as the body starts to fail, this feeling of, when we were in the 20s and the 30s, when everything was really well, all the organs were working well, that goes away. And then you start to feel, is this thing going to get better? Okay? And when you start to have physical difficulties like that, you want some hope and you need some stability. I think if you visit someone who's elderly, who's going through those kind of difficulties, we should do things to support them. If they can't see or have a difficult time seeing, then you can maybe talk to them, have them listen to something. If they have a tough time movement, then we can move them properly. They're in a wheelchair or something. For making sure that we are doing things the correct way, the right way, to not bring them any physical harm. So I think the key is to be there. We can definitely go and meditate with them. We can do Simran with them. There are times when our parents or our loved ones get to a stage where they forget Simran. We can repeat it to them. We can have them remember it. There are illnesses which put us in a state where we tend to forget things. We can remind them. We can meditate with them. We can have them even remember some of their experiences with the great saints and mystics over the years. Because to a satsangi, those touches of love and those experiences with the great saints are very enjoyable and very loving and caring. And so to just talk about them and remind them of the situations also brings a lot of joy to them. I think we need to make them happy. That's the main thing. We need to focus on positivity. We need to make their life more comfortable. But we need to encourage them, hey, things can get better. And if we are positive, things do get better. And I've seen many cases where difficulties have come in, and over time they've gone away too. One thing is sure in life, we're all going to physically die one day. I mean, you can't do anything about that, okay? But if you're going through a difficult time, then you can uplift their attention so that their attention goes away from all that is painful, all that difficult in their life. And so by doing Simran, by being focused on God, by sitting to meditate, these are things which really would uplift them, because if they're spiritually uplifted, then the physical or the emotional difficulties would then slowly wane away. Okay, let us meditate for a few minutes. Please sit as comfortably as you can. Close your eyes very gently, just like you close them when you go to sleep. Your eyeballs should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of you. And as you close your eyes, those of you who have been initiated in the mysteries of the beyond, please do your Simran. And those of you who are new here, please repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. This repetition of God's name should be done mentally and not out loud. I pray to God Almighty and to the three great masters of this past century, Hazur Baba Savan Singh Ji Maharaj, Param Sant Kapal Singh Ji Maharaj, and Dayal Purush Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, to help each and every one of us connect with the divine power within and to be uplifted in the regions beyond. So we'll be sitting for a few minutes. I'll be getting you out of this meditative state at that time. And my best wishes are with each and every one of you. Please leave off. Please leave off.